Alright, it's time for another comic book throwdown. I've got one digital book and a bunch of prints here today. Overall, this week was pretty excellent from DC, but let's get into it. Worst pick of the week has to go to De-Evolution 5. The end of the miniseries. This is a book I've been picking up in the digital, on Comixology mainly, and it felt rushed. Everything kind of resolves in the sloppiest way humanly possible. It's like Dynamite just canceled it. And Rick Remender had to write some sort of 30-issue arc into 5 issues. It was just so hastily put together, nothing made sense at the end, and it was just weird. It gets a 1 out of 5 stars. Next, another bad book for this week was Han Solo #1. In this book, Han Solo... It's a by-the-numbers story from Disney Marvel. They don't take any chances with anything. No risks are taken, period. Han Solo goes out on a mission to race in this space race, but it's a dangerous race, and he's supposed to rescue these rebels. And they don't know if they can trust him or not. Where have I heard that? Oh yeah, like every story in the Marvel Star Wars storyline that has Han Solo in it. Yeah, it's a story by numbers. Gets another 1 out of 5 stars. Just terrible. I don't think I will be picking up issue 2. Next, on the bad scale, the last of the bad scale, was Star Wars #20. Another Obi-Wan story that had no consequences because all the characters show up in episode 4. You see, you can write a good story like that, like Kenobi. But unfortunately, they don't try to write a good story. The art in this was just weird looking and really too realistic, which I've never thought existed ever. It's too realistic. The story, Black Castan, which is their new bounty hunter, that's in all the titles right now, is out to kill Obi-Wan, and they fight, and nothing comes of it because they both are showing up later in the storylines. So yeah, it gets 2 out of 5 stars. This is on the chopping block as well, as are all the Marvel Star Wars titles. Next, we move on to something so much better. Manifest Destiny #20. I'm going to get into real spoilers here, because I really want to talk about this issue. In this, they found the skull, the Cyclops skull, that they've been looking for this whole time. One of the secret part of their mission that the president sent them on. And we find out that, spoilers, Sasquatch and Cyclops are probably the same thing. And that the party before them has started eating them. But now they're all gone, I guess. I don't know. And the guy that they were looking for has gone insane, and he has a ghost following him around. It's really strange, but very interesting. It's a very different arc of Manifest Destiny, and it makes me really like this series. It's a 4 out of 5 stars. Really well worth your time. Next, let's get into the Rebirth. Specifically, these new series. So, Green Lantern's #1. Earth is getting all sorts of problems from the Red Lanterns. They're just setting up all these, terror attacks sort of things, and our 2 rookie Green Lanterns are the only ones there to stop them. And one of them gets Emerald Sight. I won't say which one, but it's just really good, and I just want to know what atrocities it's going to do to Earth. Because he did attack Earth in the Red Lantern storyline. There's a whole annual about it. One of the best annuals I've ever read. But it was really good. It's 4.3 out of 5 stars. Well worth your time. These Rebirth titles are just so good. Moving on to Rebirth, we get Superman #1. This doesn't really focus on Superman so much as it focuses on his son, who might be our new Superboy. One of the things I love about this series is that, well, specifically this issue, is that Tomasi really writes kids well. And in this not Superboy, but soon to be Superboy, I would assume, is he's playing and he promises his dad not to use his powers, but he and the cat are playing, they're chasing a mouse, and then a hawk grabs his cat and he fries the hawk, but accidentally fries the cat. And he feels horrible about it, but he won't say anything. And then Batman and Wonder Woman come in at the end, spoilers, and Superman's like, you gotta come with me. Really fun issue. Another 4.3 out of 5 stars. It was sad, but it's interesting. It's a really interesting story. So yeah, I'm saying that about Superman stories, so it has to be good. Next, we move on to Batman #1. I had very low expectations about this because the Rebirth one-shot was awful. I thought it was probably the worst Rebirth one-shot, with Green Arrow in a close second. It didn't feel like Batman, but this was really entertaining. It was so different from what we're used to with the Scott Snyder stuff being just overly dark and having these really long plots. I mean, we don't know if this will be a really long plot yet, but Batman has to stop a plane from crashing in Gotham. Batman, on the ground, using barely any tech, has to stop a plane from landing on the ground. And then, spoilers at the end, these two new characters show up, Gotham and Gotham Girl, which have Superman's powers. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that. Also, we get a little bit of Duke as Robin, and I think Duke's going to be our new Robin. And if we're going with Future's End still, where he was Robin, I'm excited, you know. Next, let's get into Green Arrow #1. This was really good. This was probably the best #1 this week. Green Arrow #1, in it we have Green Arrow still hunting down those people that are selling women and children to other people. They're selling slaves. Black Canary and him have a thing, and then Green Arrow's betrayed at the end. And it was really good, and I won't spoil who betrays him, but it was pretty awesome. Like with Batman, these both get 4.5 out of 5 stars. Lastly, the last Rebirth title was the only Rebirth one-shot that came out, which was Titan's Rebirth one-shot. This was... Well, I'll get into what was pick of the week, but this, when I read it, was pick of the week, which explains how good the other one was. Wally West is running around. He goes to Nightwing's apartment, and he's ambushed by the Titans, which I did not read the Titan Hunt, which I really should have, because it would have explained things better. But Wally makes them remember him. And so now the Titans now know that someone has changed time. So right now in these Rebirth one-shots, it's Batman, Wally West, Barry Allen, all the Titans, Wonder Woman know that something's gone down. Wonder Woman on a different level than everyone else, which I talked about last week. She figured it out on her own, but Batman and Barry Allen are in on the whole thing. This is Wally West and now the Titans. So I'm really curious to see where this is going and how the Watchmen are going to get tied into this. This gets 4.9 out of 5 stars. And the thing is, 5 out of 5 stars this week is Dark Knight Returns: The Last Crusade. When I bought this out of, the whole, I might as well get this because I'm getting Dark Knight 3: The Master Race, which, if you do know, I am not very pleased with. But this was fantastic. It's a prequel to Dark Knight Returns, but it takes place after All-Star Batman and Robin. We learn about what Jason Todd's character was like in the whole Frank Miller Bat universe. He's very brash. He's a darker version of what he was in the main DCU. A lot darker, more sadistic. Whereas Dick Grayson was more of a crybaby, or at least that's how they portrayed him in Dark Knight Strikes Again at the end. Jason Todd, Batman is seriously thinking that Jason Todd's going to be his successor. And they don't really talk about Dick Grayson in here that much, which is probably an editorial thing because of how he was treated in Dark Knight Strikes Again was just really weird. We get some propaganda news thing. Well, not propaganda. Parody news, satirical news of TMZ, which I found truly hilarious. But the thing was, it just didn't fit here. That was the only downside with this book. Otherwise, everything was so fantastic. Bruce and Selina Kyle's relationship. I mean, Bruce says, if I had time, we would be together, but instead he just sleeps with her. And Selina Kyle's retired from being Catwoman. Bruce is getting old, which is a really cool part of this. The characters they do use in this were really cool to see. We get Killer Croc in a state... I haven't seen Killer Croc in so long because they made him so bestial. He's just a man in this with a skin problem. And we have Poison Ivy in here, which is fun. Joker, of course, is in here. And it's just a really, really good story. I didn't want it to end. In fact, I would stop. And in the middle of it, I'd just be like, no, I can't finish this in one sitting. So I read it in a couple sittings. And that's not a bad thing. I just didn't want this to end. So yeah, Dark Knight Returns, The Last Crusade. 5 out of 5 stars. You all need to check this out. Anyway, that's Comic Book Throwdown for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you give it a thumbs down. That's your opinion. If you want to see more content, please subscribe and join the Stupid Chainsaw Production Nation. I don't know. I'm working on a name for my fans. I don't know. Let me comment down below if you have a name for my fan base. Or if what you were reading this week. Anyway, have a nice day.